In this video, I want to talk about all of the doom and gloom that has sparked in the Call of Duty Zombies community, all thanks to Vanguard Zombies. Ever since Vanguard has released, everyone in the community has been acting like there is no hope for redemption for Treyarch. There is absolutely no way that zombies can become great again and massively popular. We did just get Shi No Numa brought back to Vanguard Zombies, and it has been very beloved. The community seems to be really enjoying it, but the general discourse that I've seen is that whilst this is a very good step in the right direction, it's still in Vanguard Zombies, and Vanguard Zombies still isn't up to par. And of course, it isn't a perfect map. There's still a lot of things that I would like to see improved upon, and if Treyarch weren't so constrained, maybe in an alternative timeline we could have seen that. What I want to talk about in this video is I don't think we really need to have this doom and gloom look on the current state of Call of Duty Zombies, because we are just coming off of the back of Black Ops Cold War Zombies. This game was made during COVID. It was made during a pandemic. Almost all of the developers were working from home, and also Treyarch picked up the slack after Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software were apparently leading the project, but they had some sort of falling out, so then Treyarch took over. And despite this, the game still ended up turning out pretty solid. The campaign's phenomenal. Multiplayer is fun, but there are some issues with it. I do think it's a more classic Call of Duty. The multiplayer is the most controversial aspect about Black Ops Cold War, though. In terms of the zombies, it has been very beloved. And if we actually look at Google Trends, Cold War Zombies peaked higher on the trends graph than Black Ops 3 Zombies. Now, it did have higher drop-off, and obviously that's because Black Ops 3 Zombies had more maps and it kept up consistency, and we did end up getting Zombies Chronicles a year after, so it had a lot more hype in the long term. But in terms of Cold War Zombies, it did actually have a higher peak. In fact, if we look on Google Trends, Black Ops 2 Zombies was the peak, and Black Ops 1 Zombies was also way higher than Black Ops 3 Zombies. A lot of people like to act like Black Ops 3 Zombies was the peak of the zombies community, and maybe so in terms of the hardcore players, but in terms of the overall amount of people playing the map, the interest wasn't as high as Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 because it was fresher then. Come Black Ops 3, I think people had started to move on a bit. It was still extremely popular, it just wasn't as popular. I also think that it probably wasn't benefited with the fact that Shadows of Evil was the launch map, which was very hard for casuals to get into. And that brings me over to Black Ops Cold War Zombies. The reason why I think this game peaked higher than Black Ops 3 Zombies on the Google Trend graph is because it appealed to Warzone fans. The reason why Treyarch decided to make the Easter eggs, or the main quest, which is the actual name for them, they're not really Easter eggs anymore, more accessible was to cater to that influx of Warzone players, because ever since Warzone released with Modern Warfare, a bunch of new people have come over to the Call of Duty franchise, people who are a lot more casual. Because it is a free game, anyone could pick it up, and that is why they decided to introduce the weapon rarity system with drops that you can pick up on the ground, and a lot of systems that were similar to Warzone inside of Cold War Zombies. And that's probably also why they created Outbreak, the sort of semi-open world zombies mode, because Outbreak is essentially the zombies equivalent of Warzone. It's more catered to those Warzone fans than OG Zombies fans. Whilst a lot of OG Zombies fans do also like it, like me, it's clear they were trying to bring Warzone fans over. And I think the reason why Treyarch decided to do this was because they were thinking long term. They thought, well, after Black Ops 4 Zombies, Zombies took a massive decline in player base. Because of that, Treyarch had to do something to increase the player base, and the way to do that was bringing in new players. And the best way to bring in new players is to refine and strip back the system so that they're a lot more easily accessible for the general consumer, and that is what Cold War Zombies managed to achieve. It's very easy to get the wonder weapons in the game, it's easier to do the Easter eggs, they're a lot more streamlined, it's easier to just jump into a match and start having fun without having to look up a million videos on YouTube, and Treyarch managed to succeed in that, and that is why Cold War Zombies peaked the highest. And when Black Ops Cold War Zombies released, we saw a lot of Twitch streamers that usually don't play COD Zombies playing the mode, and that just shows you how they were bringing in this massive new influx of players. All in all, basically what I'm trying to say is that people are thinking too short term. Whilst Vanguard Zombies has been the lowest point for COD Zombies in its entire history in terms of player base and interest, when we just look back to a month ago or a year ago when Cold War Zombies was the main game, it was doing really well and was really successful. I think people don't properly understand time, and they're just thinking about the now. Time changes everything. In 3 years time, COD Zombies could be insanely successful again, and people have just forgotten about this era of zombies like it never even existed. Just like how a year ago, people forgot how successful COD Zombies was, and now a year later that it's nowhere near as successful, suddenly it's all doom and gloom like there's no hope, when a year ago clearly there was a lot of hope. How on earth could the future of COD Zombies have no hope when Cold War Zombies peaked higher than Black Ops 3 Zombies a year and a half ago? You have to bear in mind, Google Trends isn't 100% accurate because it's just based on how much interest there is and how many people are searching on YouTube and Google for the mode. And Black Ops Cold War Zombies wasn't a really searchable mode because, like I said earlier, they streamlined everything so that there wasn't really much need to look up guides and tutorials for Cold War Zombies or even storyline videos because everything was explained in the intel in the game. So because there was very little need to look up YouTube videos, of course, that's going to lower how much it shows up on Google Trends. Black Ops 3 Zombies, everyone was looking up tutorials for everything, so that's going to largely inflate the Google Trends graph. So I actually think Cold War Zombies peaked a lot higher in player base than Black Ops 3 Zombies, more than Google Trends makes it out to be, because Black Ops 3 Zombies was a much more searchable game than Cold War Zombies. And it also got Zombies Chronicles, etc. People were also a lot more interested in the storyline then, so people were looking up YouTube videos and stuff a lot more. But now, I think on release with D Machine, I think more people were playing Cold War Zombies than at the release of Black Ops 3 Zombies with Shadows of Evil. Even though Shadows of Evil is one of my favorite maps, that's just the reality of it. Because Cold War Zombies refined the gameplay, that is why I think the player base was higher. Even though other aspects of the game aren't as good as Black Ops 3 Zombies, for example, Black Ops 3 Zombies has much better map locations. It has the main crew obviously being Primus that we follow, which Cold War Zombies doesn't. Even though I do think it has a good storyline, it wasn't very visible to the general community. This video has been kindly sponsored by Chernobylite, which is a science fiction survival horror RPG set in the hyper-realistic 3D scanned wasteland of Chernobyl's exclusion zone. Explore a non-linear storyline in your search to uncover the truth of your tortured path. You'll take on the role of Igor, a physicist and ex-employee of the Chernobyl power plant, returning to Pripyat to investigate the mysterious disappearance of his fiancée 30 years prior. It's available on PC, PS4 and 5, Xbox Series X/S and the Xbox One. The Steam Summer Sale is actually currently running, so you can get 30% off on the game and all of its DLC. I have showcased this previously on the channel, but Season 2, Red Trees, is now live with a bunch of free content that includes a new VR experience set in Igor's base that you can enter with a helmet. It allows players to play a game inside the game, introducing a new roguelike inspired mode. You'll be transferred to the fractal world where you will face enemies, humans and monsters in several arenas, each more and more difficult. Are you ready for a challenge? There are 6 new story missions with the Ghosts of the Past expansion, in which Tatiana manifests in Igor's dreams and encourages him to visit various places in the Chernobyl zone and learn the true history of Chernobyl. The Player's Cosmetic add-on brings an atmospheric post-Soviet look that complements the player's headquarters, who said you can't have a little fun in the zone. While learning to craft various and very complex structures, electronics and tools, Igor found a way to build a gamer's hardware. Now you and your companions can have a little break from all the stresses and terror lurking in the zone. There is also the additional Red Trees pack, which is paid DLC with extra cosmetic base skins. Bring the menacing Red Forest spirit into your base and give it an ominous look with the addition of these new skins. Rusty leaves and the red glow emanating from devices will fill your companions' hearts with warmth and strength for another tough day in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. So if this game sounds awesome to you, you can check it out via the link in the description for your preferred platform and check out Season 2 today. A lot of people said during Black Ops Cold War Zombies that Treyarch were just trying to cater to casuals and they neglected the hardcore fans because there weren't really many hard Easter eggs for those players. Well, the thing is, like I said earlier, I think Treyarch were thinking long term. They thought, well, in this game we're going to strip things back a little bit and make things easier so that we can bring in a lot of new players. Those new players can then learn the zombies formula in this game, get good at zombies, and then by the time we release the next game, they're going to be ready for a more difficult release, or at least harder Easter eggs, etc. And that is what I think is going on here, because Treyarch have been talking about on Twitter how they have very big plans for their next COD Zombies game. They have also talked about how they want to have harder Easter eggs in that next game. So now that they've brought in all of these new players with Black Ops Cold War, they can now start experimenting with some of those harder Easter eggs like the old, I think mainly in the form of side quests. I think they're still going to keep the main quests relatively user-friendly. Maybe they're going to introduce some more puzzles, etc. etc. But I think they're going to have a lot more side quests for those more hardcore players. And this has been Treyarch's strategy. With Black Ops Cold War, they thought after Black Ops 4 Zombies, the Zombies community was dying. Now we need to get a lot of new players into the franchise. Thanks to Warzone, there's a lot of new fans over to Call of Duty that we can cater towards. They brought all of those players in, then they're thinking about long-term strategy. Well, gradually, with all of the future game releases, they're going to increase the difficulty. And this is why I don't have this doom and gloom attitude with Vanguard Zombies, because whilst, yes, it is by far the lowest point in Call of Duty Zombies history, I think that is merely because they just had a very small team and budget working on the mode. I don't think it's really a fault of Treyarch, they were just rushed to make it really quickly. I don't think it's a case of Treyarch losing the plot or not realizing what makes Call of Duty Zombies fun anymore. I just think they were very, very constrained. They saw that the community really hated what we got with Vanguard Zombies, so they decided to change their plans and put all of their love and attention and put a lot of work into their next release, which we just got with Shi No Numa. And then we're getting a final round-based map in Vanguard Zombies, which is going to be back in Egypt. I think these next two maps are Treyarch working harder, and they're trying to put some love and soul into the mode, because Vanguard Zombies didn't have the Cold War Zombies full team on. They only had some people working that worked on Cold War Zombies on the mode. I don't even think Kevin Drew was working on it. A lot of the narrative people were working on it for the storyline, but I think the main people weren't really working on the mode, and that's why it wasn't really adequate. But like we've seen with Shi No Numa, things are looking promising, because that map was still made in a short period of time, and we've seen with the Easter egg that it has involved some puzzles. It has been a bit more complex than some of the Cold War Zombies Easter eggs, and I think it also had a decent amount of side Easter eggs too. Also, the general difficulty of Vanguard Zombies seems to be more difficult than Cold War Zombies, and we also have the Rampage Inducer in Vanguard Zombies and Cold War Zombies, so when people act like, well, they're just trying to cater to casuals, they're not. They're trying to cater to both fans, as is proof with the Rampage Inducer, as is proof with the first Outbreak quest with Legion. That was not for casuals, that was for more hardcore players. I think the D-Machine and also the Firebase Z Easter egg were easier because those were the first two maps and they were trying to get a lot of new players in from Warzone, but gradually they increased the difficulty, I think, with Outbreak. So yeah, I'm not worried about the future of Call of Duty Zombies at all, because I think Treyarch's next COD Zombies game is going to be a big hit, because Treyarch have been saying they have big plans. They never say they have big plans unless they actually do. I understand that the Vanguard Zombies marketing was very misleading. They made it out to be a much better mode than it ended up actually being. I think that was just a fault of Activision though. Obviously they're not going to market the mode and say, well, it was kind of just this rushed little thing that didn't really get much time, and Treyarch were essentially just testing features on the Modern Warfare engine, and that's the whole purpose of Vanguard Zombies, I believe. I believe they are just using Vanguard Zombies to test out features on the Modern Warfare engine, because now that they're having to switch to the new engine for Treyarch's next game, they have to obviously build all of the zombies mechanics all over again from scratch. I think that is why we got this objective-based mode with Terra Maledicta and Fang. That was probably just the best thing they could come up with in a short amount of time, as I think implementing the round-based features just takes a lot more time. But finally we ended up getting round-based with Shi No Numa, and like I said, I think they are simply using Shi No Numa round-based to just test out features and see what the community likes for their next game, which is obviously going to have round-based maps all over again. I think they're probably going to have round-based maps, and they're probably also going to have an Outbreak-styled mode too, not like the mode we saw in Vanguard Zombies, actual Outbreak, an open-world style mode, because I think that is what people loved about Outbreak. They didn't really like the objective side of it, they liked the open-world sandbox side of it, and that is where Vanguard Zombies failed with these objective-based modes, because they tried to focus on the objective style of gameplay, whereas that isn't actually what the community liked about Outbreak. They liked the sandbox aspect that Vanguard Zombies just doesn't cater towards at all. In conclusion, I'm not worried for Treyarch's next Call of Duty Zombies title. I think that the mode is going to have a huge comeback. I didn't always think this, but now that I've seen Shi No Numa, and now that I've seen that the map is actually a really big step forward, I've seen what Treyarch are capable of, and this game has been made in a short period of time just to test the features for their next release. And that's all this mode is. It just wasn't marketed properly, and that's why we set very high expectations for it, when in actuality it is just a kind of rushed mode just to test out features with a very small dev team. Most of the dev team are probably working on the next Call of Duty Zombies game, and I do think there's a big possibility of getting an Outbreak open world style zombies mode in the future that's going to be free to play, because apparently DMZ in Modern Warfare 2 is going to be free to play, which is a sort of open world styled mode. So if they're making that free to play, I'm sure Outbreak could be in the future too, or at least an Outbreak styled mode, whatever they end up calling it. And the main reason why I'm not worried for Call of Duty Zombies right now, and why other people are thinking, well, Vanguard Zombies has flopped massively. The player base is down so badly. Even with the recent Shi No Numa release, everyone's views on YouTube are very low compared to when Treyarch usually release round-based maps. The trailer doesn't really have many views on YouTube either, so the player base is so low. But that's just because most of the fans were burnt out from the launch of Vanguard Zombies, and they probably don't even know that Shi No Numa has released because it wasn't marketed very well. They literally released the trailer right as the map actually released. But even though Vanguard's player base is down massively, I think it's probably the lowest the COD Zombies player base has ever been, well, when we look back at Black Ops Cold War Zombies, we see that the player base peaked higher than Black Ops 3 Zombies, and I think come Treyarch's next COD Zombies game, if they improve the way that the storyline is told to the community, and they have better Easter eggs, whilst also having this really good gameplay they established with Cold War Zombies, and they cater to both fans, hardcore and casual, which they did try a bit in Cold War Zombies, but they do it even more, we're going to be in for a massive treat. Especially now that they're bringing back Richtofen, and there's a lot of really good storyline beats that Treyarch is setting up for the next COD Zombies game. I do think more people are going to be interested in the storyline. I think Cold War Zombies was just kind of doing world building and establishing the universe that we are in and the rules of it, and the next game will be a lot more interesting, especially with the beloved Richtofen back. And I do think COD Zombies is going to be huge in the next game. I don't even care that Vanguard Zombies has performed so terribly. As I said, it was just because it was rushed. Moving forward, Treyarch have big plans, and we're about to see that executed. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Just a quick reminder, this video has been kindly sponsored by Chernobylite, if you want to check it out down in this video's description. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.